Hi, this is Rudy Jones of PalmettoStateBaseball.com. Welcome to the South Carolina College Baseball Scoreboard for Friday, March the 21st. There were 24 games involving South Carolina schools played on Friday night. Let's take a look at what the action was. We'll start with NCAA Division I teams. Clemson scored 4 runs in the first inning and held off Wake Forest 5-1 in the opener of that ACC series at Doug Kingsmore Stadium in Clemson. The Tigers are now 21-2 overall and 3-1 in the conference. Wake fell to 18-5 and 6-1. Aiden Canuck had 10 strikeouts in 6 innings for Clemson. Elsewhere in the Sun Belt Conference, Sebastian Alexander hit a 3-run homer to give Coastal Carolina a 4-run lead, and the Chanticleers went on to beat Troy 11-3 to open that series down in Alabama. The Chants are 17-5 overall, 4-0 in the conference, and Troy fell to 16-6 and 2-2. Out in Arkansas, the host Razorbacks scored 5 runs in the 7th inning and run-ruled South Carolina 12-2 to open that SEC series. Arkansas is now 21-2 overall, 3-1 in the conference. South Carolina fell to 17-6 and 1-3. Over in Spartanburg, all 9 Wofford hitters got a run, a hit, and an RBI, or at least one, as the Terriers run-ruled Villanova 11-1 in 7 innings to open a non-conference series. Wofford is now 16-7 overall. Villanova fell to 11-8. Down in Charleston, or more precisely Mount Pleasant, Avery Neves and Ethan Plyler drove in 3 runs apiece, and College of Charleston run-ruled Elon 12-2 in 8 innings to open that Coastal Athletic Association series. The Cougars are now 13-7 overall, 1-0 in the conference. Elon fell to 8-13 and 0-1. Also in Charleston, at the Joe, Matthew Lively scored from second base when he hustled on an infield single, and the Bulldogs beat Mercer 6-5 to open a Southern Conference series. The Citadel is now 12-11 overall, 1-0 in the conference. Mercer fell to 15-8 and 0-1. In Clinton, Jake Randolph had 3 hits and drove in 3 runs as Presbyterian beat Gardner-Webb 7-5 to open that Big South Conference series. The Blue Hose are 10-13 overall, 2-2 in the conference. Gardner-Webb fell to 11-12 and 1-3. Also in the Big South, USC Upstate snapped a 5-game losing streak when they got 22 hits and 13 walks to beat Charleston Southern 22-4 to open that series down at Charleston. The Spartans are now 10-11 overall, 1-3 in the Big South. Charleston Southern fell to 12-7 and 0-4. In the final Division I game involving a state school, Cole Yearsley had 3 hits and drove in 4 runs, and Winthrop beat St. John's 15-1 to open that non-conference series over in Rock Hill. The Eagles have won 4 straight. They're now 13-10 overall. St. John's fell to 8-12. Looking at NCAA Division II action. In Conference Carolinas, Francis Marion scored 5 runs in the 7th and 15 in the 8th and beat Southern Wesleyan 22-1 to open that series. The Patriots are now 20-9 overall, 10-6 in the Conference Carolinas. Southern Wesleyan fell to 7-22 and 6-10. Charlie Bussey had 5 singles, and Will Durrell and Noah Stout drove in 4 runs apiece for the Patriots. Elsewhere in North Georgia, Young Harris scored 7 runs in the 5th inning and held on to beat North Greenville 12-7 to open that Conference Carolina series. The Mountain Lions are now 19-8 overall, 10-6 in the conference. North Greenville fell to 23-7 and 9-4. Elsewhere, Belmont Abbey took the lead in the 4th inning and went on to beat Erskine 15-5 in another Conference Carolina series. The Crusaders are 19-10 overall, 10-6 in the conference. Erskine fell to 14-14 and 4-9. In Peach Belt Conference play, John Davis singled, doubled, and homered, and USC Beaufort beat Augusta 6-4 to snap a 14-game losing streak. The game involved 2 conference rivals, but they did not include it as a conference game, just a non-conference meeting. Beaufort is now 4-24. Augusta fell to 8-21. North Georgia used a 7-run 5th inning to beat Lander 12-9 in Dahlonega. North Georgia is now 19-8 overall, 9-1 in the conference. Lander fell to 28 and 8-2. North Georgia, Lander, and Georgia College were all tied for first place entering Friday's play. Georgia College also lost on Friday, so North Georgia has sole possession of first place right now. Elsewhere, an error in the 9th inning allowed Columbus State to get a 5-4 walk-off win over USC Aiken in another Peach Belt Conference series. The Cougars are 11-14 overall, 3-7 in the conference. Aiken fell to 13-15 and 5-5 The Pacers have lost 6 straight. Claflin has now lost 11 straight after losing to Georgia Southwestern 11-3 to open that series in Orangeburg. The Hurricanes are 18-12 overall, 6-4 in the conference. Claflin fell to 5, 19-1, and 0-10. In the South Atlantic Conference, Ethan Bonacore had an RBI single in the 6th inning, and Limestone held on to beat Coker 4-3 to open that SAC series in Hartsville. The Saints are now 13-16 overall, 7-9 in the conference. Coker fell to 19-9 and 8-5. Carson Newman fell behind Anderson 4-0, but rallied to win 8-5 to open that conference series at Anderson Memorial Stadium. The Eagles are now 21-6 overall, 11-2 in the conference. Anderson fell to 17-11 and 6-7. Number 14 Catawba scored 7 early runs, 3 in the first, 4 in the second, and run ruled Newberry 13-2 in 7 innings. The Indians are 21-7 overall, 12-4 in the conference. Newberry fell to 15-14 and 5-11 in the SAC. Elsewhere, Conley Burke had 3 hits, and he struck out 3 in his first relief appearance of the year, and Bob Jones held on to beat Toccoa Falls 8-5 to open that series at Coniston Park in Greenville. Mackenzie Ritter struck out 14 and took a shutout into the 7th inning of that game as Bob Jones improved to 7-16. Toccoa Falls fell to 11-14. Mason Turner homered twice and drove in 5 runs, and Columbia International topped Carolina University 16-6. The Rams are now 15-13. Carolina University fell to 7-13. A passed ball and a bases-loaded walk in the 10th inning allowed Wiley to snap Voorhees' 6-game winning streak. The final score is 3-1 in 10 innings. Wiley is now 18-11 overall, 10-3 in the HBCU Athletic Conference. Voorhees fell to 10-10 and 7-7. Tigers starter Keith Copeland had some tough luck. He allowed only 2 hits and 7 shutout innings for Voorhees, but was unable to get a win. Elsewhere, in the other games involving state schools, Fort Lauderdale beat the Spartanburg Methodist twice, 17-5 and 5-4. In Game 1, Spartanburg Methodist had a 5-0 lead after an inning and a half. Fort Lauderdale scored the final 17 runs. In Game 2, the Pioneers rallied to tie the score in the 6th, took a 4-3 lead in the 7th, got the first 2 outs in the bottom of the 7th, and then Fort Lauderdale got 5 straight runners on base, including a 2-run single to give the Eagles a walk-off win. With the losses, Spartanburg Methodist fell to 10-18. In other ACC games, Duke beat Virginia 9-5. Cal beat Stanford 13-3 in 7 innings. Georgia Tech beat Notre Dame 18-7. Miami beat Florida State 9-6. NC State beat Pitt 6-2. North Carolina beat Boston College 5-1. And Virginia Tech beat Louisville 5-4. So what do the ACC standings look like? Wake Forest is now 6-1. Florida State is 4-1. Stanford is 5-2. Georgia Tech's also 5-2. Clemson's 3-1. NC State is 3-1. Louisville's 2-2. Duke is 3-4, as are North Carolina, Virginia, and Virginia Tech. Cal is also 3-4. Pitt fell to 1-3. Boston College is now 2-5. Miami is 1-4, and Notre Dame is 1-6. In the Southeastern Conference, Friday scores: Auburn beat Kentucky 8-7. Georgia got 2 runs in the 9th and beat Florida 8-7. LSU beat Texas 8-2. Mississippi State beat Oklahoma 2-1. Ole Miss beat Missouri 9-6. Tennessee evened its series with Alabama with a 10-7 win. And Vanderbilt handed Texas A&M his 5th straight conference loss 3-1. So what do the SEC standings look like through Friday? LSU is 4-0. Alabama and Tennessee are both 4-1. Arkansas, Auburn, and Georgia and Texas are 3-1. Vanderbilt is 3-2. Ole Miss is 2-2. Oklahoma is 2-2. Tied at 1-3 are Kentucky, Mississippi State, and South Carolina. Florida and Missouri are at 0-4, and Texas A&M is at 0-5. So let's see what the schedule is like for Saturday. I've got to call it up, but we'll go with it. Saturday's games. Starting at noon, we have Belmont Abbey at Erskine with a doubleheader at noon. Columbia International is at Carolina University for a doubleheader at noon. North Greenville and Young Harris with a noon doubleheader, as are Toccoa Falls at Bob Jones in Greenville. Wiley at Voorhees for a doubleheader at noon. Albany State is at Benedict for a 1 o'clock doubleheader. Carson Newman is at Anderson for a 1 o'clock doubleheader. Florence Darlington Tech and USC Union meet for a Region 10 matchup, a doubleheader at 1 o'clock at the Jonesville Ballpark. Georgia Southwestern plays Claflin in a doubleheader in Orangeburg at 1. Limestone is at Coker for a 1 o'clock doubleheader in Hartsville. Newberry is at Catawba for a doubleheader at 1. We have Southern Wesleyan at Francis Marion for a 1 o'clock doubleheader. Spartanburg Methodist is at Fort Lauderdale for another doubleheader at 1 o'clock. USC Salkehatchie goes to USC Sumter for a pair at Riley Park, 1 o'clock start. USC Lancaster is at Gaston College for a doubleheader at 1 at Sims Legion Park in Gastonia. Elsewhere, Elon is at College of Charleston at 2. Lander plays at North Georgia at 2. St. John's is at Winthrop at 2 o'clock. USC Aiken is at Columbus State at 2. USC Upstate plays Game 2 of its series at Charleston Southern at 2. Wofford plays host to Villanova at 2 o'clock in Game 2 of that series. Wake Forest and Clemson square off again at Clemson at 2 o'clock. Gardner-Webb is at Presbyterian at 3. Mercer is at the Citadel at 3. South Carolina is at Arkansas at 3. And Coastal Carolina and Troy play at 4:30 down in Alabama. That's the South Carolina College baseball scoreboard for Friday as well as the schedule for Saturday. Hope you've enjoyed my coverage. You can follow me at on the handle Palmetto Base on Twitter. You can check out PalmettoStateBaseball.com for scores, schedules, and other notes about things like that. And let me know sometime things you'd like to see me do differently or do better. Once again, it's a really early Saturday morning, or technically it's late Friday night for my recording. Anyway, this is Rudy Jones saying good night. Jesus loves you.